All right, our alcohol ink is dry and we are ready to stamp and emboss. So we're not going to use the same tool that we've been blowing around embossing powder to emboss. I'm going to use a heat gun. A heat gun is going to emit heat to melt that powder. Very first thing we need to do is we're going to stamp our image. And I am stamping with, or I'm using Versamark ink to stamp. So that is a sticky clear ink that is going to let the embossing powder stick to it. So same as stamping before, I hold in one spot and I press around to make sure I got good contact with the paper. And then I'm going to pour the powder over top. If there's any parts of that alcohol ink that wasn't dry, this powder will stick to it, which is why you need to make sure that it's absolutely dry before you continue. And then we're going to heat it with the heat gun. So I'm going to move it slowly around with the heat gun. This is completely cool. I haven't used it yet today, so it's going to take a bit for it to warm up. But you'll see it go from granular matte to shiny and smooth. There you go. And always point this away from your hands. It does get quite hot, so we don't want to burn ourselves. So I'm just going to let that cool and I will see you in a moment and we'll put our card together. All right, I have all my pieces here ready to go. So let's just grab the glue. And remember, all of these measurements will be on the supply list. And this one I did a double matte to bring out the colors in the cardstock. The other reason I did that is because the black alcohol ink cardstock comes in pieces that are 5 by 7. The cards that I'm making are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So to cut a 5 by 7 down, I'd cut one in half, so then it's 3 1/2 by 5. It just makes it so I can get 2 cards out of one piece of alcohol ink cardstock rather than having a bunch of black waste. All right, I just have to hold this down for a moment to let it stick. Probably actually more than a moment, but I'm just going to do a moment here. So when you heat with a heat gun, you will find that your cardstock does tend to warp a little bit. I'm going to get an acrylic block and I'm going to let it sit with that on it to hold it down, and then we'll put the rest of the card together. All right, so our glue has dried and you can see that weighing it down while it dried made it go completely flat, which is exactly what we were wanting. I already have my adhesive on my sentiment here, so let's just take the backing off. There we go. And the last step, we're going to put a butterfly on there. So this is die cut from the glitter cardstock that we colored for the second card. And you could leave it like that if you wanted to. It's just a lot of white space, so I just thought this would help break it up. It would also give the card a little bit of extra dimension and an extra sparkle. It plays off nicely with the pearls. And then last step, I'm just going to put some glossy accents on the body. It's again just just add another different texture to the card. So that one is white, or sorry, wet. Once it dries, it'll be more like that. So it goes down a little bit as it dries, but again, it just adds another little texture there. So see you in the next video, and we'll do our last card, which is alcohol inks on acetate.